Hey guys, so I have some exciting news. Vivid Dip has launched their own 3 liquids. So these liquids will be used with their dip powder. And to start with, we have the top coat, which is the first thing you will use. Then we have the activator, which comes second. And then on the far right, we have the top coat, and that is your very last step when dipping your nails. These packaging is so pretty. I can't get over how pretty it is. They're glass bottles, and I'm just very, very impressed with the packaging. So I'm going to show you how I use them. Okay, so I already have 2 nails that I broke off just because I'm not used to the length of them and I got a little rough with it. So the voiceover may be a little different. It's not matched up with what I'm doing with my hand gesture. So to start, I'm going to use the Vivid Dips powder, and it's in the shade Alika. Of course, I'm using Vivid Dips. I love her powders. So I have already put on the fake acrylic tips. So I've already buffed or filed them down, got them prepped and ready to go. I'm explaining to you how I got them prepped and ready. I went ahead and filed them too, kind of shaped them up, but I can finish shaping them up later. So first we're going to start with step 1, which is the base coat. With the base coat, you want to apply a thin layer. So when you start, you want to get a little close to your cuticle, but not touching your cuticle. Push down and let the brush kind of fan out, and then pull it back. Once you start doing this more often, it will become a lot easier. You can get a little closer to your cuticle, and you'll just start getting more comfortable. So once you get that first thin layer, you're going to go ahead and dip. I like to dip in and kind of go scoop up. And then you'll tap off the excess dip powder. And then I use a stick that's like that, kind of shaped, not the pointy end, but that side, and go along my cuticle and clean up the areas that kind of got a little messy. So my cuticle line will be very, very clean and neat. So basically what I'm doing is kind of taking off any of the powder that may have got on my skin. Then you'll get your brush, you'll wipe off the powder, and then you will repeat this process one more time. A lot of times I like to do just 2 dips with the glitter. With my index finger, the coral color, I usually do 3 dips with a solid color. With glitters, I like to do just 2 dips. Okay, so now I'm going back in with my second coat. And again, you'll get closer to your cuticle, push down and let it fan out. You want to make sure you get your edges really well and the tip of your fingernail very well with the base coat. Once you've applied that second layer, you're going to go ahead and do your second dip. Tap off the excess powder. Go back in and clean up your cuticle area if needed. and dust off the powder. So one thing I'm noticing with the Vivid Dip base coat, at this part I'm just explaining that I do 3 dips of the coral and 2 dips of the glitter. But one thing I would notice while I was doing my nails was the base coat seemed to not dry as fast as the other product that I used to use. So it gave me more of a smooth, it was just smoother. The application of it was a lot smoother. It's kind of hard to explain, but my other nail was way rigid, and with the Vivid Dip it seemed like it was very smooth. So now I'm going in with the activator, which is your second step with the liquids. You can just be very generous with the activator. It doesn't matter if it gets on your skin. It's not gonna leave any stickiness or anything like that. So I just make sure I get the activator all over the nail. And what the activator does is it hardens your nail. And you'll let that set for about 2 minutes. So while that sets and gets hard and dries, I'm gonna go ahead and start with my pinky. So once again, you'll do the process again. Do a thin layer of the base coat. Then once you get your thin layer, you go in for your dip. Clean up your cuticle area. Another thing I noticed whenever I was using the Vivid Dip liquids was it just wasn't as messy as the other ones seemed to be. Like, honestly, I didn't really need to clean up my cuticle area. It seemed like it stayed in place and it didn't really bleed or get on my skin. So I really did like that aspect of it as well. Okay, I'm gonna go back in with my second base coat. And going in for my second dip. Once you do your nails yourself, you'll get better with each try, and you may not even need to work on cleaning your cuticle area. It just kind of, as you practice, you get better and better. Okay, so I'm finished with the powder. I'm gonna go ahead and put that aside. And I'm going to put the activator on my pinky. I'm wiping off the brush just because sometimes it might get glitter on it, and whenever I use it again, I didn't want the glitter to be all over it. So I'm done with the first step, so I moved it out of the way. Now I'm just checking to see how I want it shaped, and now you can go in and shape up that nail just how you want it. It's personal preference. However you would like to shape it, you shape it however you want. There's really no right or wrong way. It does take practice, though, I will tell you that. So I may be holding the nail file a little weird. I'm right-handed and I'm working on my right hand, so I was having to use my left hand for the nail file, so it's always kind of awkward. I still haven't got used to that yet. So right now I'm taking the nail file and I'm kind of going around my nail bit with it to kind of even out any like jagged areas where I cleaned up my cuticle line. So I'm using that to just kind of file it down and make it smooth and even. Now I'm going to dust off any of the leftover crud from that, and then I'm going to file with the buffer. I almost forgot that I had to buff it, and I forgot twice. So you just go ahead and buff it after you shape it. Make sure it is very smooth. Okay, so now once you get it smooth with the buffing block, you will go back in with the activator and apply it a second time. You'll let it dry for about 60 seconds, and then you can go in with your top coat. Now I'm going to go ahead and shape up my pinky. Pretty sure I'm explaining to you that if it looks weird, it's because I'm using my non-dominant hand. So another thing that I notice when using Vivid Dip, I usually have to use my nail drill, my electric nail drill, to kind of even it out and make it as smooth as possible to where it doesn't have like little humps on my nails. And with these dip powder that she has, for some reason it applied a lot smoother and I didn't have to use my electric nail drill. Okay, so right here is when I forget that I need to buff my pinky, and I go in with the activator. after I forget that I need to buff it first. But that's no big deal. See, I just realized that I forgot to buff it. So, no big deal. Just go in and buff it, get it nice and smooth, and then I can reapply the activator again. Now it's nice and smooth. I'm gonna go ahead and put on that. Actually, it's my third coat of activator because I forgot. Okay, so now I'm done with the activator, and now I'm moving on to my last step, which is the third step, and it's the top coat. So when you apply the top coat, the first layer that you do, you don't have to make it perfect. You just do about 3 strokes on your nail and let it dry for about 30 seconds. And I usually paint each of my nails, and then by the time I come back to the first one, it's dried up and it's ready to go for my second coat. So it's hard to tell on the camera, but with my pointer finger that I just pointed at, you can tell it's a bit shinier, and my middle finger it looks, kind of rigidy, not really rigidy, but it's not like super shiny. So that's how I can tell that it's dry and it's ready for the second and final coat. The second and final coat is what's going to be the super shiny. You take your time a little bit more with it and be a little more detailed with your application. And that is all. I definitely love Vivid Dip's 3 liquids. I feel like it applied a lot smoother than the other brand that I was using. I can't wait until I do a full set again using the Vivid Dip for all of my nails, and I will probably do another video to show you guys what it looks like using it with all of my nails. But I love how it turned out. It's shiny. It's almost, I think it's a little bit shinier than my index or my pointer finger that I was just pointing at, but I just love how smooth they both turned out. Like the application of them was so smooth, and it just looks really, really, really well. I'm trying to show you right here how it's got like a little bump in the middle. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but whenever it shines, you can kind of see like that bump in the middle. And then my other one, my middle finger, is just so much smoother looking. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. I highly recommend